This is episode 72 of the Wilderness Locals podcast. My guest is John Barklow. John is the big game product manager for Sitka Gear and a massive wealth of knowledge. John just launched an educational site called Knowledge from Storms. It's always a pleasure to chat with John. This podcast is brought to you by Kafaru International, the toughest hunting gear on the planet, bar none. Frontiersman Gear, high quality, completely custom, handmade knives. And as always, we're brought to you by Just Shooting Arrows, BC's premier archery shop. Yeah, man. How you been? Yeah. And I was super bummed when we left, right? I threw in my go bag, I threw a little podcast recorder and a headset and stuff. And Natalia's like, you bringing podcast stuff? My wife, right? And I was like, yeah, I got a podcast with Barklow. She's like, oh shit.
There's more important things, dude.
No, I know. I've been excited for this one for a long time, right? I really enjoyed chatting with you last time, and these podcasts are kind of a selfish thing for me because I get to talk to people that I look up to and people that have a ton of experience, right?
Yeah, well, I'm glad we could do it because that meant that you're not completely flooded out of your home. So
thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
How you been?
I've been doing well. Let's see. I just got back from kind of a 12-day trip doing some clinics with some of our retail accounts, and then got to hunt a couple places in Texas for some whitetail and hogs, and got to shoot a bunch of arrows. So it was good.
That's where it's at.
It was good. It was a little warm down there for me, but then I came back from 80 degrees and now it's 12 degrees here in Montana. So went from one to the other.
Yeah. Me and Wasey have been talking about going down to Texas in the spring, depending on what happens with all of the border stuff, to go hunt with Scotty and Snyder for Aoudad.
Yeah. Well, actually, I got some dates on the calendar to go here in a few weeks with those guys. But I don't know if I'm going to do it. I might push it until late winter. I went down in April and it was a little bit too late, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you could go earlier than that. I mean, hell, he wanted me to come down in October and I just couldn't do it. Anyways, I might, it's an awesome place and I definitely want to get back there. I just don't know if I can make it the middle of December or not with work. So, but yeah, it'll be late winter, early spring. I'm going to head down there for sure.
So the way that you've put your life together, you have an absolute ton of opportunity every year, right? Like hunting in Texas, hunting here, hunting there, right? How do you,
I wouldn't say I put my life, I've done a few things, but I wouldn't say that it's just kind of worked out that way. Okay. And it's not a ton of opportunity. It's like, yeah, it's probably more than most. So I don't want to discount that, but I just figure it out. I mean, if it's important to, whatever's important to you, you'll figure out. Yeah. So it's like, hey, if I gotta, work 3 weeks straight to get everything done and then be available on the phone, in the middle of the day or something, while you're hunting, then that's what I do just to try to do it. And again, it's easy to be like super selfish. And I'm like, probably shouldn't maybe go the middle of December. I try to, the good thing with my job is I try to blend a lot of work with, what we would call fun. So I try to field test stuff while I'm hunting. Like that's why most of what I do hunting wise is not ever shown, because I'm wearing stuff that I can't let the world see yet. Right. Or I'm doing things that probably shouldn't be shown yet, cause I'm testing something and, or just say, is this going to be durable enough? Or I'm wearing somebody else's product. I mean, that's never talked about in the industry, but how do I know if my stuff's the best if I never use anybody else's? So God forbid any picture ever shows up of me wearing somebody else's product, dude. That would be horrible, right? That would be horrible. So it's like no cameras, no phones. Like you're not allowed to do anything. I
was actually going to mention that you, I can't remember what piece of kit it was, but in one of the Q&As, somebody asked you about a piece of gear that Sitka doesn't make. And you were like, oh, check out this Numa piece.
Yeah, the Numa Alpha Verdicts. Yep.
I was just like, it kind of blew me away. I was like, I don't know many industry folks that would, they'd be like, try this instead. You might die, but try it. But you're not that guy. It was cool.
Well, I guess I'm secure enough in what we do here that, we can't make something for everybody or everything. We try to cover our bases, but there's other people that are doing some good stuff. I still think we do it the best, but there's some other people doing some good stuff. And it's like, hey man, if you like that other brand or that price point is, fits your wallet, there's other options. Yeah. I don't think they're as good. And yeah, you're not going to see me wearing them like when it's for real, but there are some other good options out there. It's not like we're the only ones doing some good stuff. Yeah. But I'd say holistically, like when you look at building a system, there's nobody that even comes close. But there are some people building a few pieces here and there individually that are, pretty decent.
For sure.
So it's like, why bullshit about it? Like, just be honest. And, the other thing it does is it challenges me and our team to like always, okay, well, that's a hole in our line. We probably should fix that or make it better. Like we're always updating things. Like I just been doing emails this morning on something we got coming out, and believe it or not, like spring 2023 that I've been testing for 2 years, and it's like, yeah, nobody's even capable of making what we're making, right? What this product is.
That's awesome.
But it's an update to something we've already got. But it's just so much better.
That's just wicked. Yeah, I was gonna mention too, like on that last podcast, you would not believe the praise that you received from guys when you told me on the podcast, oh no, don't run those rain pants, just get something that you can destroy. Like that's a great opportunity to sell somebody a super expensive set of rain pants every year. But if they're not fit for the job, why do it? Right. And it's just like, it's, I think it's a feather in your cap and it's a feather in Sitka's cap that, it's a honest approach to telling people what they should be running. Right.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you the sales guys always love me all the time, but here's the thing. Like, how pissed off are you going to be at me or Sitka if I tell you to buy a $300 pair of rain pants and you shred them on a trip?
Yeah.
Right. Because everything's got its limitations. And, I probably have a $500 pair of rain pants that'll survive that. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I've got enough experience to know you could probably buy a $99 pair of rain pants and trash them every year doing what I forget exactly what we were talking about, probably busting through brush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, you're going to be so much better off and have a better experience. And at the end of the day, like I'm a hunter, I'm an end user, like I go onto the mountains. So it's like, what would I just keep ask myself, like, what would I do? Mm-hmm. And then that's kind of the answer I give people, well, this is exactly what I would do. Assuming I, didn't get stuff for free or anything. This is exactly what I did. This is what I would still do if I was in your shoes.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I think it's just, it's awesome. I do see a lot of people online, like, the Instagram hunter of the day with the systems that I know for a fact wouldn't work in those situations. But this is what you need. And I'm like, no, it's not. What are you doing? Or
well, either it's twofold. They either lack experience, which a lot of people do, or they lack, we'll say, diverse experience. So maybe they have a lot of experience in one particular environment, but they don't have a lot of experience in a lot of different environments. Or the other thing is they're literally just a sales tool for a brand. So they get free gear. And either way, it doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody out except them personally, or maybe that brand for a short period of time. But like, you're going to just end up disappointing and pissing people off, I think, over the long haul. So it's like, why do it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I kind of feel like my place in this podcast is to facilitate conversations with guys like you. Instead, like I can't be giving goat hunting advice. I've gone on one goat hunt. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well,
you don't hear me often, hopefully never really, give too much hunting advice. Cause I mean, I hunt a lot, but I'm not going to tell you, I think I'm the best hunter. Like there's probably better people to tell you exactly what to do to kill a big whitetail or kill a big bull. But I can help you stay out there long enough to get that opportunity. You know, that's where I think I really have my expertise, but, yeah, you know, you can't be everything to everybody, and that's all right.
Mm-hmm. Which is, I mean, that's half the battle for a lot of people is staying out, right?
Yeah, well, if, you know, I call it the care and feeding of yourself. Like if you can't, you know, like your goat hunt, if you can't go out there and get into goat terrain and then stay there long enough to get an opportunity, then what's, you know, then you're just wasting your time. Or like if you put all that effort to get in there and then the weather turns bad and you have to leave right away because you don't know how to use your kit or it fails you, well, then again, you've wasted your time. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the hunting aspect aside, like the actual, you know, let's just say the actual like finding the animal or tracking the animal or killing the animal, like that is a component of the hunt, but not all hunts. You know, you don't always find the animal you're looking for, or you don't always kill an animal on a hunt. Mm-hmm. But every time you go out there, you're living and moving and thriving in that environment. Like, and if you can't do that, you can't get to the point where you get to pull the trigger. Mm-hmm. So, you know, everybody likes to concentrate on what I call the sexy part of the hunt. But, you know, you go on a mountain goat hunt, which I've been on lots, and like, I've never been on an easy mountain goat hunt. No. And rarely does it have to do with the mountain goat. It has to do with the weather, the terrain, like everything else. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. On our hunt, I can't remember if I texted you or not when we got back, but all the gear you set up with me worked absolutely bomber. It was great. No, we had an awesome hunt, man. Wasey ended up picking up Giardia on one of the days and getting really, he got real sick on the mountain. So that was
on the mountain. He got it. Oh, damn.
Oh yeah. I think probably the first creek crossing we hit on day one, he probably picked it up somehow.
I'd only wish that on a couple of my worst enemies, dude. I never want to have that again.
It was way like I had never been around somebody with Giardia, and it was way it was way gnarlier than I thought.
You don't want to be. I don't want to be around anybody with.
No, it was bad. Okay, so here's when it came to light. We were as far as we had been from camp. Like completely on this the opposite side of this, you know, coastal BC Knife Ridge Mountain, right? And I'm like getting ready we're talking about this killing this billy that's only about 400 yards at this point, but we have him dead to rights, right? Like we're ready to rock. When he goes down, he's going to slide down this little slope and end up in the bottom of this valley. And we had been contending with wolves in this valley all week. And I was talking to Wasey, he just stopped making sense. He's just like, I guess like this whole like confusion part of it is one of the symptoms of Giardia, right? And he's just like not making sense. And I just like had this gut feeling. I'm like, we're not going to make it down to the bottom of this valley, back up here and back to camp if stuff's weird. Like I could just tell something was up. By the time we got to camp, he was just like back to camp. So we decided not to shoot, get back to camp. He's just completely gassed and like, oh man, it was a rough 24 hours after that.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder what altitude were you guys at?
Between 8,000 and 10,000 feet.
So I'm just wondering if you had a combination of, because at least as far as I know, and I never had any symptoms like mental acuity.
Oh yeah.
But if you're dehydrated, which obviously Giardia can make you dehydrated, you can get that way. And then if you're dehydrated, you're more prone to getting, you know, mountain sick. Mm-hmm. So maybe it was a combination of a couple things.
Yeah. I mean, it very well could be. I think Wasey lives at 4,000 feet though. And
you can still, I mean, if you're pushing 10, everybody's a little different. And again, dehydration sets you up for that. So maybe in a normal instance, it wouldn't happen, but yeah, that's interesting, you know, but so many people, like, it's awesome that you talk about that. And, you know, there's a few other incidences. I just wrote them down with other people that I've talked to this year. And And it's like so few people want to talk about, their, mishap or their failures. Not that that was necessarily a failure, but you know what I'm saying? Like so few people are willing to talk about that because they don't want to be seen as like somehow, inexperienced or, bumbling around out there. But I think it's super important that we all talk about, those difficult times out there and what we learned from it, because, people just think, oh, people go out there and nothing ever bad happens. It's like, no, shit happens all the time to a lot of people, but very few people either have a platform, to do it or want to talk about it publicly if they do.
Yeah. I was just saying so every year I always help one hunter, try to kill their first deer. Right. And it's like,
oh, that's awesome.
And even if it's just, conversations, a couple times a week or whatever, but this year, I helped a guy that I've become good friends with now shoot his first blacktail. And now he's kind of like chomping at the bit to move on to some other stuff. He's like, oh, I think I'm going to try to go on a sheep hunt this year. And I'm like, yeah, well, hold your horses, dude. Like you should have a couple grueling pack outs. Like I'm not a sheep hunter. I mean, I'd love to be a sheep hunter. I will be at some point. I think I'm doing my first stone sheep hunt this coming year with my hunting mentor, Ronnie. I'm at the point with sheep hunting.
Awesome.
I'm at the point with sheep hunting right now where when I see sheep, it's not even put my finger on the trigger game. It's try to figure out how old they are. I'm not there yet. Right.
Oh, yeah.
But I say to this guy, I'm like, man, before you do the mountain thing, you got to have a couple bad pack outs. You got to shoot a deer way too far from the truck. You gotta have some bad gear failures. You got to get up the mountain and realize you don't have any fuel. Like you got to do that a couple times.
That used to be like that kind of progression of crawl, walk, run.
Mm-hmm.
I think that used to be a little more intuitive than it is now because, again, I'm not going to blame all the ills of the world on social media, but it's so easy to want to advance to that next level and not have that experience under your belt. Where in the past, it's like, hell, you'd have probably grown up, shooting deer with your dad, and then maybe with your buddies, and then maybe on your own, and then eventually progress, many years later to a sheep or a goat. I see it down here all the time, this lower 48, where it's, people that are either never hunted or never killed an elk or never been out west, any of those scenarios, and they want to go public land, backcountry elk hunting with a bow, which to me is like, I think it's the hardest challenge out there for me. Like from what I've seen, like trying to kill, and then they want to kill a big bull, which I mean, that it starts to put their success rate at damn near zero. And it's like, man, like, how about come out here and do a bear hunt? How about come out here and do a turkey hunt or a antelope hunt, or, and like slowly work up to, doing what I think is like graduate level hunting. But everybody wants to jump right to what they consider the pinnacle, but they don't understand that the people that are kind of consistently getting that done have been doing this for, 20, 30 years and have a ton of experience under their belt and a ton of failure too. If you ask them, they'll probably be real honest about that, but you just don't see it at that. When they get to that level, you don't see the failure anymore because they're consistently consistent, successful.
Yeah. I mean, I think like where I am here in British Columbia, the amount of opportunity and the length of the seasons have really allowed me in, the past 6 or 7 years or whatever to kind of augment my learning curve, right? Like in my first 3 or 4 years of elk hunting, I was doing 40 days in the woods, right? Like,
there you go. Yeah.
And it's just like, the thing that happens to me is I hang out with these guys that are like PhD level killers, and I find it pushes me sometimes beyond my, no, I shouldn't say skill set, but beyond where I should be, you know, like these guys like Jeff and Cole and all these guys that are just like, they're like these young stone sheep killers, right? I mean, they've all shot book animals, and it's like I find myself like, oh man, I'd like to do that. And I'm like, Matt just got back from a winter goat hunt, and his hunting partner or a November goat hunt rather. His hunting partner, Zach, did his meniscus on like day 2. And it was like a 16K walkout with torn meniscus. Like, that's not my level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, mentors are like such a big part of
absolutely
like pushing to the next level and like getting out of your comfort zone. And
yeah, I'm
not saying people shouldn't do it, but people want to do it so quick. Like the only way to get 40 days in the elk woods is to get 40 days in the elk woods. Yeah. Right. There's no shortcut there. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I mean, my hunting mentor, Ronnie, you know, he was like, when you're ready to fly, we fly. It's like, this isn't a race. And I mean, I log as many days as I can in the woods, and with my situation, I'm very fortunate. I get to log a lot of days in the woods because I don't have a proper job. I sold my business. Right. So, it's cool. It's cool. And I think, like you're saying, there's no shortcuts, you know?
Yeah. And I just tell people to enjoy the journey. Like, it's all fun, right? Like It's all just part of the experience for me anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's part of the experience.
You see a lot of guys bypassing a lot of hunts that are super fun and still very challenging. I mean, a lot of the November mule deer hunting can be pretty remote and pretty wild here in BC. Same with the September hunting, you know?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm trying to think, like, we always get snow here in September, and, you know, probably, I think this year it was like, probably above 8,000 feet. Right. Yep. So like just in time for end of archery, beginning of rifle, like, you know, so if you're going remote, like you're already in winter conditions. Yep. And then now it's, like I said, I think yesterday morning anyways, it was like 12 degrees or something like that. Fahrenheit. Like it's cold, man. Like, you kind of better have your shit together.
Yeah, it's sort of funny. Like I think British Columbians look through difficulty of hunting with weird glasses, because guys that are doing backpack hunts, like when you're doing like mule deer rut hunts on winter range, backpacking into these places, it's no big deal for it to be -20 at night, right?
Yeah.
And it's like guys look at it like, oh yeah, that's just standard. You're like, I don't think so, man. Like, oh man. So, hey, where I was gonna, when I was asking you about the amount of opportunity that you have, I was leading into, how do you pick what you're going to do? Cause like, to make this relatable to guys in BC, we have so much opportunity, right? I mean, we can damn near hunt anything in North America except speed goat, over the counter. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you prioritize what you're doing?
Well, so my year, so to speak, like I try to center my year around my elk hunting. So my archery elk hunting is like everything else revolves around that. So I try to plan my work, my personal life, everything around. We have a 6-week season here in Montana, which is incredible. So like this year I was able to go, which I probably won't do again, but I was able to go on elk hunts in 3 different states this year, which was awesome, but it almost doesn't leave enough time for any one particular hunt. And you always feel like super rushed. But anyways, everything revolves around archery elk hunting. Like, to me, everything else after that is kind of gravy. But that's my priority every year. And then after that, my priority is trying to go on a few whitetail hunts. So I grew up back east, so whitetail hunting is kind of in my blood. I never really want to do it until end of October, beginning of November. So I try to get those hunts kind of on the books and figure out what I'm going to do there and chart out, if I'm going to use vacation days or whatever it is. And then everything else, I'm trying to fit in around that. So antelope opens here in August. Like I always like going antelope hunting. I always give it a couple, 3-4 days, with a bow. But if I don't get it done, then I just easily get distracted by the beginning of elk season. Mm-hmm. But after those two, what I'm trying to fit in is then something in the spring. So kind of coming out of winter, like we were just talking about this, like what's the spring opportunity? So mm-hmm. Is it bear? Yeah, I'm not a big turkey hunter, although I will shoot a turkey, but mm-hmm. Is it bear? Is it going down to Texas for aoudad? But really, the rest of the season outside of elk and whitetail is like trying to find opportunity where I can stay sharp, stay in the field. And honestly, I'm not looking for like the hardest hunts. I'm mm-hmm. looking for shot opportunities. I want to get as many reps under my belt, shots on animals in a year mm-hmm. as I can to be prepared for that one arrow for that bull, or that whitetail. So I see this a lot. It's like, especially back east whitetail hunting. I don't know where it is where you are, but a guy may go years without ever shooting an arrow at an animal. Yeah. Like whitetail hunting. And, I see it here all the time where guys are pick up a bow for the first time and they want to go, elk hunting and they're holding out for like a certain number, right? A certain size. And I'm like, dude, you haven't even killed an elk yet. Like you should get a couple reps under your belt. Mm-hmm. Like who cares if it's a rag or a small 5? Like, don't worry about that right now. Like figure out the animal's behavior, get some reps, make sure your setup works. Like I'm all about that. So anyways, I'm I'll go to Texas, I'll shoot pigs. Management whitetail or, be it does or whatever, like trying to get reps in, mm-hmm. but everything kind of, to me, my whole like focus, my training, everything is on like archery elk primarily. And then whitetail after that. Mm-hmm. Like I haven't even mule deer hunted in a couple years because I've been so focused on elk that I was supposed to go to South Dakota this year and it just didn't work out. They had blue tongue, I think, out there, killed a whole bunch of animals. But,
oh, wow.
Yeah. But here it's like, I'll apply for a bunch of different tags in a bunch of different states, mm-hmm. sheep. And I don't really apply for goat anymore, but sheep and some of those hard to draw hunts. And so if I ever draw one of those, like then the season will be centered around that. But until that ever happens, that's kind of the way I look at it.
I think, it's always so hard, right? It's so hard there's only one September, there's only one October, there's only so much time in these months to get after stuff. And most guys, they're booking a couple weeks off here and there if they can. And that's the end of it. I always kind of struggle with what I want to go do. It's a great problem to have, right?
Yeah, I used to be that way. And, when I lived in Alaska, it was kind of like that because, mm-hmm. Every year you can go hunt almost every species in Alaska. Yeah. So, it's like, am I going to spend the time to go sheep hunt this year? Am I going to spend the time to go, brown bear hunt? And, you kind of, at least for me, I kind of default to what's a little easier as far as like access, right? Yeah. So like I could always hunt blacktail, I could always hunt mountain goat, I could always hunt brown bear. I wouldn't always draw a tag, but I could hunt them, in a certain area. So, mm-hmm. You kind of default to that. But yeah, good problems to have, right? Where we live in areas that have like every year I can hunt elk, mule deer, antelope, whitetail, black bear, turkey. That's just in Montana. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a species, but it's a lot, it's a lot. So, but I don't know, maybe it's just my age, but I'm like, I would rather focus solely on trying to kill a big bull mm-hmm. with my bow to start. And then everything else is gravy after that. Yeah.
Yeah. I've spent the last handful of years here only focusing on elk, and I've fallen into that thing where I only want to kill particular bulls up until this year. This year I didn't have a lot of time with the new baby having come, and I shot the first bull that came into the call that was legal, and I had a 1-day elk season, which was pretty wild. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's crazy. I've been just jonesing to get out for a September 1 mule deer hunt the last couple of years, and I haven't been able to put it together because of time. And you get back from a goat hunt or whatever in August, and then you only got a couple day turnaround, right? And that's real tough on I've
hunted southern Alberta quite a few times for mule deer.
Yeah,
and I'd love to go back. And a friend of mine owns an outfitting business there, but I can't give up September anymore to go mule deer hunt. But I have gone, let's see, I did go a couple years ago with Frank and Snyder. Actually maybe 2 or 3 years in a row. I went with my wife on one trip and then those guys on another, but went in October for mule deer in Alberta, a little bit like north of Calgary, I think. So that was cool, right? So that was cool. And then I could still go whitetail hunt in November. So that worked out well.
Yeah, we went to southeastern Alberta. I think it was October 18th last year.
Yep.
Oh, dude, it was great. It was like right in the
That would have been about the time I think I went. Yeah.
I think we actually go the same time that Snyder and all those dudes normally go too, right? So it was funny. The last year when we were there, we were like, I think that's Lander. We're like, got a spotter on Lander.
Yeah.
We texted him. Pretty funny.
You should have taken a phone scope picture of it.
Yeah, I will next time. He's going through a tough time. He just lost his dad, poor guy. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, very nice dude. Yeah, man. So you've had a pretty exciting season this year. I mean, you were in. I think you started off in Alaska, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. See, I totally forgot about that. Seems like so long ago.
Oh, I feel you. I'm like chomping at the bit to go cut that goat tag that we went on our goat hunt in August, and I think the hunt changes, so we're allowed to be in that area on sleds December 15th. So I think mid-February we're gonna cruise back in there on sleds and see if we can glass and bottom up, because I think they're gonna be dropping low in that particular in that particular spot. So it'll be interesting. I'm not. I've said on the podcast a bunch of times I'm not ever going to do a winter goat hunt, but I think I got suckered into at least going and having a peek. So I'm sure you'll be getting some text messages from me in January. I need some crap help. What do I do? But yeah, how was Alaska? You went home. Yeah.
So I hadn't been back in 7 years. I think I'd left about 7 years ago. So yeah, I went back hunting with a good buddy of mine. I've yet to, like, my dream animal, like top of my list is like a mountain caribou, but he's like, I'll come up and caribou hunt. And he's killed a couple giants in this one particular area. Yeah. But he's like, the density's not there, but you could kill a monster. So I'm like, all right, that'll be a good substitute for the mountain caribou. So went back there and we didn't see a lot, just like he suspected. And I just chose not to shoot a couple smaller bulls. But it was really cool because he's a resident, and he had a grizzly bear, and I think he's got a bison left to kill in Alaska to get, I think there's 9 big game animals there. And I kept telling him for years, like, man, I'd love to be there when you shoot a grizzly. Well, sure enough, just this perfect opportunity unfolded, and I was able to go in and back him up with the shotgun. But we got into 25 yards and he just stroked this grizzly bear with his bow. So that was super cool for me to be there and kind of experience that with him. But yeah, just aside from hanging out and that grizzly stalk, that was kind of like the highlight of the trip. It wasn't great caribou hunting. So because of that, I kind of gave up my antelope season. I wasn't able to get a couple days of antelope in, which, I mean, it's all right, but my wife and I love eating antelope, so
Yeah.
I was a little bummed there. But again, I got distracted by the beginning of elk season. So then, hunted Montana. Me and a buddy helped another friend kill his first archery bull, actually archery elk, and it happened to be a nice herd bull.
Right on.
That worked out perfect for him, and we were in grizzly bear country. I mean, we were definitely in amongst them. And anyways, after that bull, we eventually got pushed out of there because of bears. And so jammed down to Colorado on a landowner tag, some elk landowner tags we had, hunted a public unit down there. I missed a bull, drifting through the aspens. I had to have hit a twig because nothing else would have. Anyways, missed him. That was kind of a bummer. It wasn't a great unit, but it was just something to do. And then went and hunted Utah on a work trip, killed a really nice 330 bull, like probably 10 years old. Made a really good, executed well on the shot, and then came back here and hunted Montana a few more days before, basically work kind of got in the way of the rest of my elk season. So
adulting. Yeah.
Was supposed to go to South Dakota on a mule deer hunt, like I said, and then some buddies were there early before I could get there, and they're like, dude, like there are no deer here. And blue tongue wiped out, what normally would be a hunt where you'd see hundreds of hundreds of mule deer. They were seeing like nothing. And I think they saw 2 bucks in 5 days.
Ouch.
So I never did go there. Then headed to Texas. Like I said, shot a couple really nice whitetail there in a few different spots, a bunch of pigs. Going to go sit here in Montana for whitetail. Nice. Or, next week-ish around the holiday. And then, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to go down to Texas in December or not. I just don't know if I can fit it in right now. So if not, the nice thing about Texas is you can just roll it. And anyways, I want to go down and do that aoudad hunt again. That was a super challenging hunt, but those are such cool animals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they weren't really on my radar even until Snyder started talking about them all the time, and then I'm like, man, that just looks like a fun hunt. Our buddies from Stickbow Chronicles went, and they had a just killer time. They couldn't believe how it's like a legit mountain hunt.
No, it's a legit mountain hunt. And that's why, I'd always wanted to hunt them, but I didn't want to do it like out of a blind or, on a ranch. Like if I was going to hunt the sheep, I wanted to hunt the sheep. Mm-hmm. And that is such a legit hunt.
Yeah.
And there's tons of animals. It's not like, you're going to find them. You're going to see them. If you can get on them or not is another thing, or if you can get an arrow in one. But like you're going to have a good hunt. And, and there's... there's some hogs. I think there's a javelina or two running around. So it's a really good time, but it's just like, I try to just not go too long without getting a hunt in and trying to get some shots on animals just to stay sharp, just to, it used to be where I could only go hunt for a week or two. I think that the stat is the average hunter hunts 16 days a year.
Oof.
And it's a stat we use at work, and I forget where exactly that comes from. But, if you think about it, it's like, hey, I get, 10 days vacation or whatever. I get 2 weeks vacation. I'll take a week for, to hunt and a week for my family or whatever. So, that put some bird hunting in around that. That's probably about right.
Yeah.
But so I think we're fortunate in that regard. So I try to spread it out. I just tell buddies, I'm like, man, go to Texas, go to some of these places and just get reps in. Like go on a management, dude. I've gone on so many management deer hunts.
Yep.
where you have the opportunity, some of these places will let you shoot, depending if you see the right deer, but they'll let you shoot 2 or 3 whitetail bucks and all the hogs you can, and, maybe a few does, or maybe it's 1 buck and all the does you can shoot and all the hogs you can shoot. Well, hell, in 5 days, I mean, you might get, 5, 8, 10 shots. Those are reps under your belt. How's my form? How's my broadhead, performing, or whatever it is. And I just find that so hugely valuable. And I've shot some really nice bucks on management hunts. I mean, in my, for my standard, I'm like some really cool, nice bucks. And, gotten some good meat and all that. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a ton of, I might be speaking out of turn here, but we don't have like a ton of management call opportunities.
You probably don't up there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I was just saying to Wacy the other day, there's some units in BC where the bag limit's like 15 deer and stuff like that. And it's just like over the counter, show up, let her rip. And I mean, I think one year we got to do that. The problem for me is I only get to host him for 21 days a year, and they have to be concurrent days. So we're thinking about next year, maybe trying to do a caribou hunt and then having it fall, like end when he can get back down south here and then do some deer hunting with me or something like that. But yeah, man, there's, I think most places out west here, like there's so much opportunity if you're creative, like you're talking about.
Yeah. And I've tried to become more creative over the years, yeah, I mean, it's not like every year I'm going to shoot a quote trophy animal. I mean, it probably works out that maybe one a year, which is awesome. Right.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like all the other animals that I get reps on, and I get to put meat in the freezer and, get to hang out with my buddies and kind of enjoy outside. Like that's what I'm looking for. So yeah, those opportunities, especially when I lived in Alaska, like, weather would shut in. I'd be like, hell, I'm heading to Texas to shoot does, or whatever. Or
that's
pigs.
awesome. It's funny that you talk about it, like getting reps on letting arrows fly, and like for me, the past half a dozen years has been getting reps to get that experience, just time in the field, it doesn't even matter what I'm hunting. A lot of people look at me like I have a thumb growing out of my head when I say, oh man, I'm so stoked, I'm going to hunt blacktails for 5 days straight. They're like, are you just insane? Like, what are you doing? But it's time in the field, man. It's like the big equalizing factor for me to be more successful.
Time in the field can't be overstated. And it's fun. I won't mention the name, but so I was hunting with a guy on part of this trip I just came back from, and he's a pro. He's a professional hunter, pro level archer. And we were just talking, it's been a long season, started in August. Now it's November. And, we both, we're making really good shots on these deer, right? Like good shots on the deer, good shots on the pigs. And, and he was just saying, man, it just feels so good to keep making, good shots and have good shot execution. And I'm like, dude, you're a frippin' pro. And he goes, yeah, man. But he says, over the course of a season, like even though you're getting some opportunities, like the edge starts to dull a little bit, right? Because you're not practicing as much as you have been. And you're wearing down and, you're getting tired. And so I'm like, man, if a guy at that level thinks that it's still valuable to get reps and to, focus on proper shot execution, like there is no excuse for me to not continue to try to get as many reps as I can. Right. Cause I'll never catch up to that guy in arrow count. So it's like, cause I was feeling the same way. I'm like, man, like it's been a long season and I'm still, the basics. And I didn't mention it. This guy did. And I'm like, okay, so clearly if pros are thinking that way, then that's probably the right way to be thinking. any rep you can get is a good rep.
Yeah, absolutely. I experienced that firsthand last season. I've been kind of going down this stick bow rabbit hole pretty hard the past couple of years.
Okay, so whatever I said, you need to 10x the rep count.
Well, that's where, dude, that's where I was going with it, man. Like I shoot my compound every single day. Where I live, I can walk out my back door and shoot almost 100 yards. Right? It's it's part of my daily routine. I go shoot in the morning with my daughter. In the evening, once they're asleep,
that's awesome.
Yeah, in the evening, I'll go shoot a bunch of arrows. It's part of my thing, right? That's like part of my lifestyle. It helps me feel better. It's therapy. It's all the stuff, right? Hunting season comes, that goes out the window because I'm like, okay, if I'm home, I'm like, drink coffee, hang out with the family in the morning, right? And if I'm home, and then most of the time I'm gone before they're up in hunting season, right? And I got into that late December blacktail season, and I had been trying to kill this one particular buck with my stick bow all season. I finally got an opportunity, 25 yards, get to full draw, and just completely came unfucking glued. Like just all of the things wrong at once. Bounced an arrow off of his back. First trad bow kill out the window, right? And it's like, if that had been September, my shit would have been so tight and dialed. I would have just been rock and roll dead deer. Right. But it's just like by December, what is that? September, October, November, that's 3.5 months of not practicing every day. Right. I'm like 3 months with a stick bow is like a lifetime of not shooting. That might as well have been my first arrow.
You'd have never gone into the beginning of the season not having shot an arrow for 3.5 months.
Right.
But yeah, that it's so true, right? It's so, and it quite, I mean, let's be honest, it is easier with a compound, a lot easier than a stick bow. And I still shoot a compound damn near every day. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Just to be able to make that one or two like really clutch shots every year.
That's one thing that I do find with the stick bow though, like that edge on the stick bow technique dulls a lot faster, but it keeps that compound edge sharp, like I can jump back to the compound and be just as proficient as I normally am if I'm still shooting the stick bow. It's like all of the form technique is still dialed. It's just a couple little things you got to tune back up. Right.
Huh. No, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, I shoot a stick bow. I'm looking at a couple right now, but I've never hunted a big game animal with them. I'm like, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I'm competent enough.
What are you shooting for bows? I love bows.
I just want to, so I don't even know if the gentleman's in business anymore, but it was called a Wapiti.
Oh, cool.
So Wapiti recurve. Yep. I got a couple of them. And I love them. I love the look of them and I love how to shoot them. And then I got a stalker.
Oh, nice. From South.
Yeah. They're just works of art, and they're just so fun to go and stump shoot and shoot grouse and rabbits or whatever. But I'm just like, and there's probably a couple species now that I've shot enough of it. Be like, all right, like maybe a black bear. It's like, all right, I could probably practice and go try to get a black bear. Right. Cause I think some animals are just more conducive to certain weapons than others. And so I'm like, okay, I could probably get close enough. I could probably, get a controlled situation where I could get a good shot, but I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy it, but I'm not a Snyder. I can't make the full complete commitment and jump.
Well, he's constantly giving me shit. He's like, just sell your compound. I'm like, dude, I can't sell my compound. I fucking suck. Like if I sell my compound, I'm not ever going to eat wild game again. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, it's tough when you're like, if you're just like deadly at 60 with a compound and you pick up a recurve, like you'd be lucky to be deadly at 20. And I just can't give up that distance, i.e. those opportunities right now. I just can't do it.
Yeah, that's exactly how I look at it. I mean, I wrote up a dope chart that I taped onto my top limb on my stick bow. And it's like, the holdover at like 39 yards is like 4.5 feet. Like you're not making that shot on an animal. Right. It's like the 40 yard beside 40 yard, it just says get closer, idiot. Like, it's like, I don't know. Like I'm pretty dialed to 25 and 30. I could make happen. But outside of that, that's it for the stick bow,
Yeah. But I think that's why you pick it up, right? You want that increased challenge. And it's just even a slightly more different game than compound hunting. It's like, I can shoot a bull at 60, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm just beginning my stalk and my hunt really with a recurve in my hand with that bull's at 60.
Yeah. I keep bringing the stick bow out to the woods in the blacktail woods rather. Mm-hmm. And it's just like one of those things for me that like, I get a lot of opportunities at blacktail, and not the best blacktails in the world, but decent blacktails. And like, it would be really easy to connect with them with a rifle, and it's rifle season all season long with blacktails, except for, 9 days or something. And they're relatively easy to connect with a compound, but with a stick bow, it's just like, it seems impossible. And like, I don't know, for me, I'm not as concerned with the body count of those critters as I am with the, adventure that they provide for me with that, with the little,
there you go.
With the stick bow. It's like, it's super fun to be completely out of the game at 40 yards and you can't get 9 yards closer or whatever. Right. It's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm enjoying it anyways, but I do foresee you killing something with that stick bow in the future here by the sounds of it.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's definitely a goal of mine. It's just, it won't be an elk. I can almost guarantee you that.
Yeah.
I don't have that much discipline, but, yeah, hell, I'd probably never kill an elk if I could only shoot one at 20 yards, but I'd only have a few.
Yeah.
But, I don't rifle hunt anymore. Like it's just a personal decision, but like I've given up rifle hunting. It's like, I just don't feel the need. Like I enjoy archery hunting so much and put so much effort into it. It's like, I'm willing to give up opportunity. I'm willing to give up giant animals that I could kill with a rifle. It just, I think it's just a progression. Over time. And, certain animals, like I'll never shoot, this sounds arrogant probably to you. I don't mean it to be, but I've hunted so many mountain goats and been on so many successful mountain goat hunts with friends that, I don't even apply for mountain goat down here anymore because I figured give somebody else a chance. But like so mountain goat is one. If I did ever go hunt a mountain goat again, it would be with a recurve. Oh, guaranteed. Cool. Because it's okay if I don't kill one, but if I do, I would want it to be that kind of experience, So, there's a couple like that. Like I said, maybe a black bear at some point, but
that's kind of the beautiful thing about hunting when you really stop and think about what we're doing, because we can all go down the street to Save On Foods or whatever, Kroger's, and pick up a steak. But it's like the hunting thing is for I mean, I guess guys like us, it's sort of a choose your own adventure sort of situation, right? It's like, how hard do I want this to be? Do I want to go on a winter goat hunt and suffer for 10 days, or do I want to hop out of an ATV and go for a nice walk? Right. And it's like the weapon element of it just can add to the adventure, I think. Right.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And I think that's why, a lot of us do it. I mean, I want and need adventure in my life. And, you get used to a certain type of adventure, and then you want to challenge yourself and do something else. It's like a winter mountain goat hunt in North America is about as legit as it gets. Yeah. Like you got to have you have to bring so many skills to the table to do that. And do it safely. Right. And then try to, be successful. Like that's, to me, that's from what I've experienced, at least so far. I haven't hunted everything everywhere, hunted a lot, but not everywhere. That's to me is like the pinnacle. Like if you can do that at that time of year with that snow, with that animal, where he lives, like to me, that is like it's certainly the pinnacle of mountain hunting, in my opinion.
Yeah, no kidding. And I'll say it again. I'm not there, but getting kind of dragged into it here. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That's awesome, man. And it sure probably was cool to be the shotgun man on that bear this year. That sounds wicked. I really enjoyed the stuff that you were posting. I'm glad you're posting stuff in your story and all that.
I'm learning.
So that's something we should definitely talk about before we get too far off track is knowledge from storms.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
I love it.
I got the website launched. I got a YouTube channel. Yeah, it's been a lot, man. It's I don't want to necessarily tell you I was reluctant to do it, but I'm kind of like a reluctant participant in some regard. But I just figured if the IG page and the interest there has been so fantastic to watch, and it seems like people are really valuing the information that I'm putting out, that I said, well, I need to try to up my game. And I'll continue to try to do that every year. Mm-hmm. There's some things I might start doing this winter to kind of, improve upon that. But yeah, getting the website launched, getting the YouTube channel, getting some higher quality videos with some more content. It's been a big endeavor. I've learned a ton. Mm-hmm. But the reaction's been great, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it for the most part. So yeah.
No, it's cool. It's cool, man. I don't think there's, is there a better place to get the info from? I'm just looking at the website right now. There's already 3 pages of on the education part of it, and it's watch, listen, read, man. There's so much stuff that you're doing, and that trip planner, and man, it's you're putting it together for guys. I think you're connecting some dots for a lot of people, including me.
Yeah, no, I hope so, man. That's my whole intent. I just want to help. Mm-hmm. I taught for so many years. I just want to help people. It's like, like we were talking, you still got to spend 40 days in the field, but I like to say, knowledge from storms can help lessen the steepness of the learning curve. So you can start farther up on the ladder, I think, which is really my only intent. That's just want to help folks be safe, be successful, have fun, get the most out of what they're going to do, the most out of their vacation days, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It's been cool. Like I said, I'm going to I'll announce it here. So this will be the public announcement, but yeah, I got a newsletter that's going to start dropping, beginning of December. So I'll drop a monthly newsletter.
Awesome.
And just intend on getting a lot more granular. So, sometimes I speak more in generalities, and I don't necessarily mention specific, this specific model of stove or this specific jacket, but just getting a little more granular and just giving out more information. And, I've got some ideas, and, like figuring out a way for you to, share your story about your buddy and the Giardia. Like, I think that's such a learning moment for so many people, and being able to talk through that. I had another friend that, the guy damn near died from pulmonary edema this year in Colorado. Oh, right. Damn. And the funny thing is, he's got a podcast, and we were talking about that on his podcast before he went. And so the thing that really, honestly, the thing that probably saved the guy's life was not me on the podcast talking about it, but his awareness of the symptoms, of the course of action you should take when if you were to get it. Yeah. And his buddy knew it as well. So, I haven't talked to him yet about it. He's kind of in the midst of whitetail season, but it's like just trying to share some of those experiences with people, I think is going to be hugely beneficial to everybody. I know it is for me. Mm-hmm. I've done this for a long time, and it's still good for me to hear, some of these things, because sometimes you forget things, or sometimes you need to be reminded of them. And so anyways, that's kind of what Knowledge from Storms is doing. And yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's a December 2021, which isn't here yet, but it's on here, the Wheelbook entry where you're talking about, there's some gear, the gear locker post. It's like phenomenal. It's a bunch of stuff I've never thought of, like this cool light, this strappy light deal. How wicked would that be for processing an animal at night? So good. Oh, dude,
it's so clutch. It's clutch. It's helped me process two bulls and a buck. So far. Yeah. So
I'm just, this Knowledge from Storms thing is so cool, because not everybody has a mentor like I have to help you kind of mitigate some risk and be more prepared in the field. That's why I think it's just so good. Like for me, like whenever I have a question, I just pick up the phone, I call Ronnie, and he's been hunting stone sheep for 30 years. Right. Like, or not 30, but he's only 10 years older than me. But anyways, I have somebody to phone. A lot of guys are trying to get into this Western thing, and they just don't have somebody to deal with. And I know there's so much stuff online now, but with your info, it's something you can trust. I think it's really, really cool, man. Really cool.
Well, that's kind of what the Knowledge from Storms references. Thank you, by the way. But it's just like, hey, this is like, we're not making this up as we go along. Like, this is actual knowledge from experiences, knowledge from really tough times. And, over the course of time, it's not just going to be me, but, maybe a collective of people and their shared experiences. And, just trying to help people. It's not about, it's not about trying to sell a product. It's about trying to educate. And I just think that little bit different shift in mindset's important.
That's awesome. Should we talk some gear? Should we talk some new Sitka stuff? Because there's stuff that I have selfish questions about.
Yeah. Go ahead. Like, I got about 10 minutes before I got to jump on another call. So let's talk.
Yeah, right. Let's do it. Okay. So Aerolite stuff, man. Like I'm staring at Blizzard Aerolite stuff, and I'm thinking that stuff might be good for that winter goat hunt coming up, huh?
Yeah, it very well could be.
Well, yeah. So I keep ending up in this situation, John, where I'm not only cold, but I'm also wet. And then I'm also hot on the way in. So I'm sort of like in these situations these days where I am forever layer on, layer off. Like I've kind of been looking at ditching some merino base layer for some more synthetic stuff. That way I can dry out a little faster. And, from the wet coastal stuff here, the blacktail stuff right now, it's getting to the point where it starts getting cold when you get up to the elevation that the deer are. And then with this upcoming winter goat hunt, I've been looking at, basically wet conditions and trying to stay warm. So this Aerolite stuff looks terrific.
That's kind of where it's going to shine, right? Cold weather, damper conditions, coastal stuff, late season. Mm-hmm. It's uncompromising. Like, down works great, but, and we replaced the down insulation we had in that Blizzard with this Aerolite. And it's just, not only is it just as warm, but it's half as thick. Yeah. So you have better mobility. You're not going to have to worry about, those damp conditions, the fall in the river, the whole thing. Cause we've got that in a puffy jacket. We've got that same insulation in the sleeping bag. So it's just trying to build like uncompromising products for the real world, right? Because shit happens. I mean, it just does. And so, I was really stoked to get it in that. And then we also got it in the Boreal and incinerator. So some waterfowl and whitetail products as well. But for that hunt that you're talking about and the temperatures I know you're going to experience, like I wouldn't be hiking in it all the time. No. but that is what I'm going to live and camp in. That is what I'm going to, probably move, wait on that animal or glass on that goat. Like that's going to be my part of my survival system. It would be that blizzard. That's exactly what it's intended for. I put it on a buddy, and the same guy that killed the grizzly bear. And he had a muskox hunt that he drew in Alaska on Nunavut Island, I believe it was. And him and his buddy were going to leave from, I might be wrong on this, just say Bethel. So I don't know. It doesn't matter. But they were going to do a 150-mile one-way snow machine ride, cross pack ice, shoot their muskox, and come 150 miles back. So a 300-mile round trip in the middle of nowhere. And I got him in that blizzard. I said, try it out. Trust me. And he had, the blizzard mittens, et cetera. And he goes, dude. So he killed a really nice muskox with his bow. They were gone 3 days. And he's like, dude, he goes, I was never cold.
Dude, add to cart. That's what I'm talking about. Right.
So it's like, and when you're moving on a machine, like you're creating wind. So you have wind chill and all that, but it's got a 2-layer Gore-Tex face. It's not going to get wet. It's going to block wind, and it's crazy warm.
I noticed the seat of it has like a wicked nylon on it too, eh?
Yeah. So it's reinforced on the butt. Again, for, are you sitting in a saddle? Are you sitting on a snow machine? Are you sitting on an ATV or a boat? Just trying to provide that durability. Yeah. And then, the bottom of the jacket in the back has the same thing. So, we've had that piece out for a while. I put it on lots of guys going on muskox and polar bear hunts. Got it on a few guys going on some mountain goat hunts like you talked about. And then just the increase, in performance of this new insulation, this Aerolite is just like, to me, there's nothing else like it in the market. Yeah. Like nothing. There's nothing that touches it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to grab that blizzard just system for this February thing that I'm doing. And I'm sure I'll be using it in the blacktail woods too, just because it's so nasty wet in there. And when it starts freezing, it's just, you just get wet and cold, and it cuts your time short in the woods, because you just get to the point where you need to start moving. And often you just start moving animals out of the way in that country. Right. That's killer, dude. I'm stoked. I'll definitely try that too. And what are you thinking for base layer for a hunt like that wet, nasty, cold hunt?
I mean, to me, it's synthetic. Yeah. And the reason is because synthetic's going to dry quicker. And so for me anyways, the sooner that moisture can get pulled off my skin and through that base layer, the warmer I'm going to be. So everybody's got their own opinion on this, but for wool is going to stay, it's going to stay damp longer. And even though it can be or feel a little warm when wet, wool kind of steams itself dry. And that damp feeling makes me chilled. Yeah. And so I'll sit there and shiver to kind of create that body heat to dry that wool base layer. And let's just say it takes 45 minutes. Whereas with synthetic, for me, it takes 15 minutes. Yeah. So either way, you're going to be a little, potentially chilled in that kind of environment. But if I can dry it out super quick, I would rather do that than so I'll use wool a lot for whitetail hunting. And, if on occasion, I'll go waterfowl hunt, not very often, but, I'll wear wool. So I'm not moving a lot and it feels comfortable. But when I'm in the mountains, like, to me, synthetic is where I want to be.
So you're talking like the heavyweight or midweight line, right?
I always wear lightweight next to my skin.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So lightweight is what you want to wear next to your skin. It's the foundation of anything. So if you want to wear heavyweight, that's fine. Wear it over top of lightweight.
Got it.
And it's the way it's built. It's the way it's the way it moves moisture. Like that super thin layer moves that moisture from your skin through that super thin layer to the next layer. So it's not in contact with your skin. And if it's not in contact with your skin, you're not going to be chilled. Like who gives a shit if it's in the second or third layer? You're not going to feel that. And if you have the right insulation, it's going to work even if it's a little damp, right? As it kind of dries as it moves through each layer. But that layer next to your skin is so critical. And so if you wear heavyweight, because let's just say it's 3 times thicker than a lightweight, argumentally it would take 3 times as long to move through that heavyweight. And while it's moving through that heavyweight, you're still going to feel it. But if I can put that lightweight next to my skin, it's going to move quickly and efficiently through that thin layer to the next layer. And once I have that little barrier, I'm not going to feel it anymore on my skin, and I'm going to be dry or dry and warm. So
my card is filling up with stuff, John. Yeah.
So I just say the foundation of any clothing system is a very lightweight base layer. Doesn't matter if it's synthetic or wool. It's totally up to you.
Yep.
But it's so critical, man. And it's like the one layer where people can make a mistake. And like literally everything else they put over top of it, it's not that it doesn't matter. It's just not going to be nearly as effective.
I've definitely made that mistake before on backcountry mule deer hunts where moisture management has become an issue, and getting wet and not being able to dry out and sweating down into Gore-Tex lined boots that turned into a pretty rough situation. So I will be heeding the advice from Knowledge from Storms. There you go.
Super cool, dude.
John, thanks so much, man. Instagram's at John Barklow. The website's Knowledge from Storms. He's the man, the myth, the legend.
I always appreciate talking to you, dude. We need to do it a little more often, but hopefully not after every natural disaster you get through.
Well, I'm looking out the window right now while we're sitting here, and it appears to be dry. I don't have to fire up a jet boat to get the hell out of here, but thanks for fitting it in, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
No sweat, man. Like I said, I'm glad you and the family are safe, and have a good rest of the end of your season.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review. You can follow us on Instagram at Wilderness Locals. If you want to support the podcast, please check out the gear, articles, and whatever else we're up to on the website at www.wildernesslocals.net.